This is still the Eastern Cape 2017 paper 2. This was a preparatory exam. Here's another classic question that you can always expect when it comes to paper 2, trigonometry, simplifying the ratios. So we've got this, and it is for 7 marks. Ooh. I mean, you can afford to lose this. I reckon you should at least catch 5 marks if it is really bad, and you will get that from actually simplifying each of these ratios on this. Single trigonometric ratio means, or one trigonometric ratio means, your answer at the end should be in terms of sine only, or cosine only, or the tangent only. It cannot be a combination, all right? If it is a combination, maybe let's say by chance it is sine theta over cos theta, then we know that we'll have to simplify to tan theta. So it cannot be a two of these. It has to be one of them in the final step. So that is your goal. Now, how do we manage this whole thing? Scary, but it is actually fun. So let's have fun here. First of all, sine 180 minus theta. I will put up my cast diagram here to illustrate to you how you actually work with the cast diagram in getting these answers. So I have sine 180 minus theta. 180 is a boundary angle, so it is here, which means then minus, you are moving back because we calculate, or rather we work with negative angles clockwise and positive angles anti-clockwise. So that's what minus would imply, and this one, that would be what plus implies. So we know that all students take care. So that means sine is positive in the second quadrant. Therefore, 180 minus theta is a reduction, so it has to reduce to sine theta. Believe you me or not, that is where your first mark comes from. All right, then we are multiplying by sine what? 540. Now, this is obviously an angle which is bigger than a revolution. So we have to find out what is the difference, okay, between this and 360. So you subtract 360 here. There are, by the way, there are various ways to approach trigonometric questions. So I will just use the most basic ways that are comprehensive to others. If you are not sure about a method, once again, drop us a text on our WhatsApp line, and we're more than happy to clarify for you. Okay, so in this case, the easiest way that I found learners to relate to and understand is, well, subtract 360. When you do a 360 turn, you don't really make a difference because you're going to end up in the same direction you were in at. So that's why we can freely subtract 360. The moment I subtract 360 here, I am left with a 180. So that means this thing, though it may have been 540, is actually sine 180 minus theta, which is the same thing that I had previously there. So this must become sine theta. Believe you me or not, that's where the second mark comes from. Then we look at cos theta minus 90. We are used to having cos theta, not theta, rather 90 minus theta. So how do we solve such an upset thing? Again, there are different ways to do this. In fact, what I've seen one student do, very interesting, okay, is what he did, he said, okay, here's theta. Now, if I am to go, what is this? Minus 90, it means I must go clockwise. So I will end up somewhere here. So this is the home quadrant for cos, but because there's a 90, must change to co-function, so it has to be sine theta. That's how quickly he did it. Minus 90 means clockwise, right? Some are skeptical or are not really confident in this approach. So what they would do is, okay, I'm going to add a 360. And the moment you add a 360, then you get theta plus 270, which is essentially 270 plus theta. So that means your whole expression then is cos 270 plus theta. 270 is a boundary angle, but because it is associated with 90, that means we're going to change to a co-function. Now we have 270 plus, that means we go to the fourth quadrant, and guess what? It is the exact same answer you would have arrived to if you used the other approach. So this, again, we see that it has to be a sine theta because it is a co-function and cos is positive in the fourth quadrant. That is your third mark. Moving on to the denominator in this expression, we have tan of minus theta. That is quite easy because it's negative angles, so that has to be minus tan theta. Remember how your negative angles work. It could be a memory work. Sine of negative theta is minus sine theta. Cos of negative theta, I usually say cos is stubborn. It is cos theta. And then tan of minus theta is actually minus tan theta. Now, there's a separate video in which I give the conceptual understanding behind these formulas. So if you'd like to really understand where negative angles come from or how they work or why this is the case, you're more than welcome to look for that video and watch it for your own conceptual understanding. In this case, I assume that you are well versed with negative angles. So that's tan theta, and that's where your fourth mark will come from. Now, sine squared 360 minus theta, we know it's going to be positive because of the square. However, some examiners make it a big deal. They want to see if you really understand that sine 360 minus theta is going to be a negative sign. So my advice here is put it nicely in brackets and write it as negative sine theta and then put the square outside the bracket. It may save you. You have no idea. So please do that. And that's where mark number 5 comes from. The next set of marks, that is about 2 marks now, because we have 5 marks at this stage, will come from simplifying. Sine multiplied by sine multiplied by sine. That definitely has to produce a sine cubed theta, right? And then what will happen here, the tangent is just, we can keep it like that, or you could write it as sine over cos if you like. But for now, I'll keep it like this, and then I'll have sine squared theta here. Now, obviously, if you have a cube and a square there, the square will go away, and you will be left with a sine. You will excuse my bad notation in this case. Now, I'm dividing sine theta by a negative 10. So this is where now I will apply my quotient identity and have this as minus sine over cos theta. Please take note, the negative sign applies to the whole thing. I have seen something like this, minus tan theta being simplified to minus sine theta over minus cos theta. And this is entirely different from what you have originally. So please, I am warning you, do not do that. Whenever you simplify 10 into sine over cos and there's a negative, please, you only write the negative once. You don't have to write it twice, because in this case now you have changed the entire problem. Negative divided by negative is a positive. So now there's a tan theta, a positive tan theta, and positive tan theta is clearly different from negative tan theta. So please watch out for that. Make sure you do not commit such an error in your exam. All right, the next thing that remains here is to tip and times. So we're going to tip and times, and I'll keep that negative, and I'll have cos theta over what? Sine theta. Take note here now, the sine theta will eliminate that sine theta, and my final answer is negative cos theta. What did we say at first? You must simplify this to one trigonometric ratio, and that is exactly what we have achieved in this case. Once again, I would invite you to try another paper, similar question, in which you have to simplify. See, you can only know if you can do something if you try it on your own. So please don't feel too confident and say, I've got this, because you have seen it being explained, but go and actually do it on your own without anyone helping you. You have another question that is difficult, or maybe something is just not adding up, do drop us a text rather on our WhatsApp line. We will be more than happy to help you out through another video. Thank you very much for joining, Do keep supporting us by subscribing and liking, share with your friends. Let us make maths easy for everyone. Let's make sure that we can improve the pass rate this year. Thank you.